Okay, this is a video for the Parents Association to show how to set up parental controls on your child's Mac. The first thing you need to do is you need to log into the machine. The assumption is that you've got the new machines, they've been set up. The main account that you log into is an administrator's account, and this is how we check that. We go down to the system preferences, and you can click the system preferences and this screen will come up. If you can't find that, you can go up to the apple in the top left hand corner and click system preferences and it'll appear there. We're going to go to users and groups. We click on there and this will show the accounts that you have set up on the machine. So you can see on my machine I have an administrator's account called Nick May, and then it says there's a guest one, but that's not really an account. That's just sort of, you can have a guest if you want to have a guest, but there's not an account there. So we've got one main account, which is the Nick May account with me as an administrator. Now, what we essentially want to do is to set up a second account and turn on these parental controls so that you can manage what your children are using on their laptop. So I'm in users and groups, and really I want to have a second account here. So this is what we're going to do. Click on parental controls, and we create a new user account with parental controls, and we click continue. You have to put in your password, your administrator's password, to open up this settings. So I do that, enter my password, click unlock, and the first questions come up. What age do you want to set the parental controls up? Is it for a 4-year-old, a 9-year-old, a 12-year-old, or 17-year-old? So for the purpose of this, I'm going to put a 12-year-old. And I'm going to call it Federico. Okay, so I'm going to set up this account for Federico, and it's for a 12-year-old child. Now, they have to have their own password, but as a parent, you probably want to know what their password's going to be. So I suggest you have a discussion with them and choose a password that they like. I'm going to use, just for this example, football. Okay, I have to verify the password, and then I write a hint. I like this sport. Okay, now football's too simple as a password, but for the purpose of the demonstration, it'll do. Then we click create user. And once again, it'll come up saying, what is the administrator's password? So I'm going to put in my password, and I go bang, make that new person. So it's made a new account here, and it's called Federico. And in fact, if I go back to my main parental controls and I click on users and groups, you can see here now there's a new account in here called Federico, and it says that he's managed, right? So it doesn't say admin, it says managed. So I'm going to go into the parental controls. I'm clicking on Federico, and I can choose in here what is going to be limited. Are we going to limit the email? Is he allowed to join games? Using the video camera for video chat. You can click on the web, what sort of websites are restricted and what's not restricted. The stores, as in the iTunes stores, whether they can purchase things or not. There's a rating on apps and television that if it's under a certain rating, then or over a certain rating, they won't be able to watch those movies or television shows. You can set the times that the computer will actually work and log in or log off, bedtime, school nights, weekends. This is all parental preference. You can choose what you want to do for that. You can manage whether they go to websites, things like Facebook, Twitter, when they go on, when they can go on, whether they can make changes or not. And any other thing. Do you want them to be able to print? Do you want them to be able to use Siri? Do you want them to be able to use the dictionary with restricted language or not? So on and so forth. So these tabs at the top here are really up to each individual parent and family to discuss and decide what they want to control and what they don't want to control. When you're done with that, you need to lock this little padlock down the bottom, and no one will be able to get into that except the administrator on the computer. So if we go back into mine, I'm the only administrator, so I'm the only one who can unlock this padlock. When we log in as Federico, he won't be able to make any of these changes. He won't be able to touch anything. So once you've done that, you'll have two users. The second user, you need to check that it says managed, and the first user should be the parent, the administrator. Now, if the machine's set up at the moment and the first user is the child, you can then change the password and you can make this you. So the first person is going to be you. You just click change the password. You control this account, and then you give your child the new account and they have to log in as managed. Then what you're going to do is you're going to log out of the machine. So you're going to log out of yourself, and your child will be able to log in under their name. Everything will be managed. Everything will be checked. Now, I can't do that now because if I do that log out, my video will stop, right? But for the purpose of this demonstration, that's how it all works. System preferences, create a new user, and the new user has to be a managed user.